Hey, it's Bill DeYoung. Welcome back. Welcome back to Facebook Live and the Catalyst Sessions. We're here keeping St. Petersburg's arts community connected. And I'm really, really happy tonight to say that we're speaking with Stephanie Gularte, who is the CEO and the producing artistic director at American Stage. Welcome. Hi.
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for having me. And by the way, I really like the way you say Catalyst Sessions. Very radio DJ sounding.
Oh, well, you know, I do have a background in radio, you know, but that's for another time. Thanks so much for being here. I know you're very, very busy. Every day, arts organizations are coming up with new ways of staying connected with their audience. Can you talk with us about some of the ways that American Stage is doing this? You know, I've seen, you know, staff profiles, and I've been watching these sort of funny instructional videos where people check in. Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. I think that was one of the more kind of fun, inventive things that members of our staff came up with to create these kind of American Stage PSAs. You know, really thinking about how can we, since we're not able to produce the kind of programs that we typically are bringing to the community, what can we bring to the community right now that's specific to the skill sets and the talents that our folks have. And so we've been recording these PSAs videos and putting them out there. And we've got Jill Castle, our costume shop manager, does a demo on how to make a face mask.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, before everyone else, you know, we have been donating them to the hospitals locally, but now individuals, as we see, everyone is out there starting to wear them in the grocery stores and things. So she's making them for individuals as well. But she has a PSA instructing people on how to make one. Our director of production, Jared Fox, has a how to set dress your home.
I watched that one this morning. I did. That was great. Jared was great.
So we've got Tim and Brown, our technical director, who builds our sets and does the creates the plans for our sets. He's going to show us how to make a bird house, a bird cage. A bird cage. Kristen Clippard, our associate artistic director, is going to do a curate your home entertainment. Roman Black's, our marketing manager, is going to do some graphic design training. And I'm going to do a little talk on some leadership readings and kind of some things that are from my desk that I'm going to share.
You've been doing this COVID-19 podcast with Chris Crawford from Freefall. I guess Paul Wilburn is part of it, Bob Devin Jones, and Alex Harris, I think, too. Yeah, God, such a great singer. Well, you've done two of these so far where you talk about the situation, how it's affecting the arts community. What do you hope to accomplish with that, with the podcast?
So it's part of it. Well, first of all, the American Stage podcast Spotlight has been, we've been producing it for a year and a half, and it's really been a great platform for us to kind of continue the conversations that we are igniting with the work that we do. And so it's a platform that was already in place for us to talk about what's happening in the arts community as it relates to COVID-19. And so we decided to do this series of 3. So the one you are referring to is actually the second of a 3 podcast series. Yeah. The first one was with the leadership within American Stage. So 4 of us talking about what's going on within our organization and how it's impacting us and what we're doing to respond. And then the second one was with arts leaders, performing arts leaders around Pinellas. And the next one will be Kristen, our associate artistic director, will be speaking with other associate artistic directors from theaters around the country. So we kind of have gone from, you know, internally with American Stage to then community here in our county to then nationally will be the third one. It's really about just creating a dialogue in real time, because things are so dynamic. They're happening, you know, everything each day. You know, we're still we're figuring out. We're in it right now. We're not in a place yet where we have perspective. So I think working through it together is a big part of the goal. And then the other is sharing that process with the rest of the world and with our community and beyond. So that we can, one, be kind of transparent, and also, I think, start to use this as an opportunity to really ideate a vision for the future.
Well, you know, you said something about, you know, how we work through it, how we deal with it. you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago when this whole thing was just kind of starting, and it's awfully hard to say how do we deal with this when we don't really know what this is. I mean, how do we deal with it? What is it? It's as you say, it's so fluid. Does it help to sort of talk with others about it and include the community in on the conversation that way?
I think so. I mean, I think that definitely talking with others about it. I think talking through things as they're happening can be just in general, just helpful. And that's kind of what we do in the arts, whether your conversation is literally, in theater, we're literally through dialogue of our characters in the stories, we're literally kind of talking through things, but all artists are kind of looking for that outlet for processing life. And so we're doing that. I think it is an important part of gaining perspective, making sure that you aren't getting too myopic in the way that you're kind of responding, and but also it's just cathartic. I mean, it's just
sure, that's what I meant. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I think that's probably the main thing right now, because like I said, we're just too much in it, and I think too much in the early stages of what this whole process is ultimately going to mean for there to be a lot of really meaningful solutions right now. So I think it's about support, catharsis, and just the beginnings of kind of imagining, because we need, a sense of purpose, and we need to kind of help each other maintain that, even if we don't yet have a full vision for what's next.
To be in charge of, I'm in charge of me, right? Amy and I are in charge of each other, to have that responsibility, and then to also be sort of like the buck stops here with an organization like yours. In this time of uncertainty, I can imagine that must be really unsettling to live with, like to wake up every morning. What am I going to have to deal with today? I don't know if there's an answer to that.
I mean, yes, it is a lot, but I mean, there's just it's not just, it's not just the arts. It's not just me. It's not just, it's everywhere, right? Like we all are in some way absorbing what's happening in an unprecedented way. And so I again, want to go back to that thing of like, yes, it does feel like a lot. It's definitely new territory. I mean, I was leading an arts organization, a theater through the Great Recession. And I remember like the halting of business, like it felt like the phone just stopped ringing. And that was a really, really scary time. But this is a different time, a different thing. And it really, so as stressful as it is and as intense as it is, I kind of just keep coming back to, there is, I think, a really important moment here of really recognizing that, gosh, without our health, without our well-being, the rest of it, what are we doing? And so I think that's the big thing that I'm trying to tap into and stay tuned into while doing my job, which is to really ensure that this organization, this company that has been a part of this community for over 4 decades, sustains this period of time and is able to come out the other side of it and thrive.
You're on the advisory board for the Pinellas Arts Relief Fund. Is that what it's called? Pinellas Arts Relief Fund. Okay, I wrote it down so I'd get it right. But I know that Greater Pinellas and the Arts Alliance and the Community Foundation have put this together. But you sat on the board for this, and what were those discussions like? I should tell folks, if you don't know what this is, that they've established this fund to help artists and smaller arts organizations to do what they can to have some money to help them get through this. You were part of that process. What, that must have been like, we've got to do something. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What was it like in that room? It's
the arts community it's a blessing to be able to work with people in the arts, and the intelligence, the empathy, and the kind of tireless kind of pursuit of building something together is I've seen that manifest in a lot of different ways. But in this case, this was really particularly meaningful because arts organizations from all different mediums of art and different size organizations and individual organizations and individual artists and organizations. And it was really just, we need to do something, and we need to do something that's going to help right away.
Right, that was the thing, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I think many of us trust that we will get, over time, get through this, get to a better place. But what about the artist who had, who had a show that got canceled, who had who had a whole contract that's just gone away, and the indefiniteness of when that will ever come back, and they've got to make rent or they've got to buy medications for their kids. So this isn't something that was about we're gonna kind of solve it all and rescue everybody from this, but how can we make sure that those who have the greatest, most immediate need are helped? And so it just worked. It went really fast. We were, boom, boom, boom. We were kind of like, some initial funds. We need to raise more and keep funneling into this fund. This is an ongoing effort, but it was, let's get it done. And you had the right people kind of come together who were kind of the get it done kind of people. So
it's a beautiful thing. And I think that not only the community, the Pinellas Community Foundation, but Creative Pinellas, I think you can, if you'd like to donate, we'll put in a plug for them there. You can go to their websites. It is an ongoing thing and very, very necessary. I want to return to Americans.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure that I mentioned that Barbara St. Clair really kind of brought us all together, and I just her voice and her energy and being kind of the coalescing force was really important to that, and I'm grateful to her that she cares as much about our arts community as she does.
She does. I want to have her on this program. I hesitate to call it a show, but this program. I want to return for a minute to American Stage. 60% of your budget, you've told me, comes from ticket sales and classes, and I guess concessions and things like that. It's all gone. Are you panicking? I mean, how do you keep a level head? I'd be crazed. The uncertainty of it all.
Yeah, it's no, not panic, but it's definitely I've really been working with the board and with the staff over the last few years of trying to be prepared for a potential hit of some kind, a surprise. I mean, having, like I said, having gone through the Great Recession, and I was a founder of that organization, I know that things can change quickly. So we've been building up some sustainability, but I would be absolutely full of it if I tried to for a second suggest that I had ever imagined something on this scale, or that I have it all figured out what to do now. I will say that I think that there were a lot of strengths to the organization going into this. And my main job right now is to shore up relationships that, and make sure that we're maintaining our relationships with the community as much as everywhere that we can. And then planning for a lot of different eventualities. And that's so getting into planning mode is kind of just, it's a different gear for me, that I'm comfortable in. And I think that the lack of control, I only every once in a while let myself think about that.
Well, so were you saying that there was some kind of contingency plan for, like, hey, if something bad happens? Nothing on this scale, I would imagine. Nobody could have planned for this. There's so much uncertainty out there right now. On your website, it still says you're thinking late May. Yeah, I mean, is that out the window now? Is that?
Well, we'll be making another announcement soon, because like everybody else, there's when we first made the announcement that we were pausing our programming, the end of May seemed like a relatively long way out. We made that decision. I made that announcement on March 13th, and that was 10 weeks. I knew even then that this thing was already at that point, it was impossible to know for certain. So as things continue to kind of go in the direction they're going, I've got several steps kind of contingency plan prepared. It's got all sorts of different kind of trigger points of if this happens, then this, if this happens, then that. And it's constantly being revised. I'm meeting with the executive committee of the board on a regular basis and recalibrating based on the latest information. And I think that the one thing that is, when we first made the announcement to pause our programming, there was still a lot of people saying, wait, what? There was still, interestingly enough, like, why? What about our tickets? And
I remember those days. Yeah.
Remember months and months ago?
Right.
People, we all are being impacted by it now. So it's not a surprise to anyone and people get it. And I think that we're just going to continue to try and make sure that we are, like I said, communicating really clearly and considering as many different factors as we can before we come out and say this date or, But
almost like you said, you're recalibrating daily almost. Like, oh, this is different or this has changed. Summer camp, I mean, how far back could you conceivably push that? It's supposed to begin in June.
We are looking at that. I mean, right now what we're doing is, of course, trying to make sure, because we had to cancel we do classes year round as well as we go into classrooms and the schools, particularly schools that don't have their own arts programs. So one of our teaching artists right now is doing able to continue her class virtually with one of the schools. And we're doing that in a couple of different places where we're able to continue our classes that way. And we're looking at what does that platform look like. Well, I think fortunately, and I say that, looking for the rainbow here, because all of the schools are moving to this online learning, we're going to continue to figure out what does it look like to do for theater to teach online. It's a different thing. It's definitely a different thing. We rely on a lot of what we know is being in a room and together. So we're looking at that as a contingency, and while we're kind of waiting this out to see when could we start live classes. So we expect to have classes of some kind, whether they're virtual or live, working, talking with our partner over at Admiral Farragut about their plans for their facilities over the summer.
Right. Whatever the trajectory is, how many weeks, months, minutes, seconds, God. I mean, are you still kind of hopeful that, park show in October, gala under the stars October? I mean, it'd be nice to say, but
hopefully, yes. Hopefully, but realistic. I mean, they're saying it could come back in the fall. So even if this gets under control, so realistic about okay, and that's why the multi kind of if this then this kind of need for that kind of planning, because on the one hand we want to be ready to activate, we're back online, let's do this, but we also need to be prepared to pivot in another direction and have to really look at what are the points at which we shouldn't be investing further in the program that we don't know we're going to be able to present. And so that's I mean, we are going to, American Stage in the Park will be back, Main Stage will be back. When is the question on
everybody's lips. Yeah. Well, with that in mind, you have a lot of money invested in Footloose already. When it comes back, will it be Footloose? Probably. Most definitely. Most likely.
I mean, a lot of that money that's invested is not recoverable. It's money that we'll have to spend again. Some of it we are able to conserve, or we're fortunate to get a storage space donated to us because we have these huge set pieces and we can't build the next show really, whenever that is, with all of that there. So we're holding on to that and hoping we'll be Footloose. That's the plan. But undeniably, there's a lot of money that's been put out that will just have to get spent again, whether it's the same program or not. And so that's where the fundraising efforts, which is always a mode that as a nonprofit arts organization we're in, but it becomes we're in double time on that right now.
Yeah. Stephanie, right now, right at this moment, here's a little forum, maybe a reasonably large forum. I don't know, whoever's out there, for you to talk to the community just here for this second. And I know they're all happy to see you and see that you're doing okay. And that you, as much as you can, have this under control. What would you like to say to everybody out there? Let me give you that opportunity.
Oh, wow. Thank you for the opportunity. I think just on the human level, I think that I trust in that this community is the unity within this community, and the kind of pride that that we all have in living here and making our lives here, that will get us through this, and will be really essential in rebuilding everything that we have come to treasure and love about this community. As it relates to American Stage, I'm committed, our board is committed to ensure that American Stage continues to be a community center, a place for people to come together. And I'm going to just be honest and say that that's the hardest part. For the money part is hard. What are we going to do about the losses and all of that? Of course, that's on my mind all the time. But the work that we do, we're a mission-driven company, we're a mission-driven organization, and our mission is to bring people together, really relying on kind of proximity as a way of kind of making us a little less lonely in the world, and really helping us to see our lives kind of played out in a way that allows for us to deepen our sense of empathy for one another. So we will find ways in the meantime to provide that. But please know that we will be back. The lights will be back on our stage, and we know that people will slowly come back. But when you feel safe to do so, we'll be here.
Couldn't ask for anything more. Well, thank you so much. I wish you continued success and all the best. Continued success working towards where we all want to be again.
Yeah.
And
thank you for helping amplify the stories of our arts community. It means a whole lot.
That's why we're here. And thank you again. This is Stephanie Gularte, who is the CEO and producing artistic director of American Stage. And also, when are you going to act again? I think the last thing I saw you was Much Ado About Nothing.
That is one of the things that's happened this last month. I have been suddenly just itching to act again. And I think that's kind of, the people in creative, we want to create, and for some reason, I love directing and I love producing, but I have been really itching to act again. So that'll be what comes out of this, as I find a project in the next year or so to do. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Well, we'll certainly look forward to that. Stephanie, thank you again, and we'll be in touch soon.
Right,
I'm
great.
Bill DeYoung from the St. Pete Catalyst. Check us out, stpetecatalyst.com. A subscription is free. It's best thing happening. Stephanie, see you soon.
Be healthy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.